In this lesson, let's add some lighting to our scene. So we've got the model. Let's go ahead and now add a background to this. So I'm going to go ahead and just merge, and I'm going to merge together this background scene that I've got in the project files. And you feel free to use anything you want. This simply has a cyc wall and a sphere that we can use as a light dome. So I'm going to go ahead and import that. So you can see there's our wall. And so now we need to add an HDRI image. So I'm going to open that group, go to the material editor, and in one of the slots I'm going to go ahead and create a background material. And I'll make it two-sided, turn on this self-illumination color, and then we'll go to bitmap, and let's go ahead and take in this 300 file. Okay, you can see it's kind of gray here, so I'm going to go to the front of the material there. Go ahead and dial the ambient and the diffuse down to black. Alright, and then we can go ahead and you can see that this map is mapped into the self-illumination. I'm going to go ahead and turn off tiling. Okay, and let's go ahead and apply this to that dome. Alright, and now when we render, we want to make sure that we have Final Gather on, so you can choose one of the Mental Ray presets with photometric lighting. Okay, under Common, I'm going to go ahead and choose to render a smaller image file. And so let's go ahead and kind of move up on this guy, and let's just render what we have at this point. So that's what we have at this point with just the Final Gather and no materials at all. It's just a simple material with the simple colors on it. So everything, it looks pretty blown out and cartoony on here, but we're starting to get some lighting in. So let's go ahead and add a couple of spotlights in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And to add a spotlight, we're simply going to go to Create, Lights, Standard, and then you can choose a target spot or a free spot. I'm going to go ahead and choose a target, and I'm going to go ahead and dial that in there. And then we can move this around, so we can move the light around. So I want it to come from the kind of upper left. So I'm going to go ahead and move this up, and you can see how it continues to look at wherever that target is. So if I go ahead and choose the target, I can move it over to the bike. Okay. Let me go ahead and just push this in a little bit closer to the bike. Kind of rotate that around a little bit. We get something like that. Kind of push it up. Okay, we can change the parameters here of our light. You can see I've got the under spotlight parameters. I've got the show cone on. I can change the fall off field as well as the hotspot. So I can dial that hotspot in, make that fall off a little bit larger. I can also change the intensity. So right here I can change that to maybe half. So we do have some light coming from that HDR image. And now I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this light. So holding down Shift, and just by moving this over, that target stays the same. I'm going to create kind of another light over on the back side. Okay. This one, I'll dial that down a little bit more. Okay. And on both of these, we can come in and come down here to some of these other settings. Let me find the shadows here. And so we can turn those on in that particular case. So let's go ahead and now do a quick render just with what we've got here with our spotlights. So looking at that, it looks like the fall off may be a little bit too much, and we're shooting a little bit towards the front of this. So we can go ahead and take the targets of these lights, okay, and move that over, move that target over a bit. Okay, go ahead and select the lights, and we can go ahead and just decrease that fall off, maybe increase the hotspot a little bit. Alright. And we can take this one, we can select it here. There we go. And turn the shadows on there. And let's go ahead and turn on ray tracing. Okay, do the same thing up here. We'll use ray trace shadows in this case. Alright, so let's go ahead and now do another render. So that looks a little bit better. I think I want to actually turn off the shadows from this one. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on, and maybe just leave the shadows from the back here. We also might want to come in and move that hotspot so it hits the top of this a little bit more. It's hard to tell a little bit because of the lack of materials that we have so far what exactly that's going to look like. But we can go ahead and try to get as close as we can here. I'm going to take the target for this and go ahead and move it over here. Okay. And I want to dial the intensities of these up a little bit more. Okay, so maybe 0.7, and then set this back to maybe 0.8. Okay, do one last render here. So that's a little bit more intense there coming from this side. So now whenever you get your lighting set up, we can now start to add some materials. So let's go ahead in the next lesson and look at adding a few of the different materials that we're able to create here in 3ds Max. So we'll do that next.